Call this meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Open forum, if anybody would like to speak.
You gentlemen in the back, want to get up and say anything? Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, we're on the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes, approval of the bills and purchase orders, approval of the investments. There's a few donations. There's a donation for $1,000 from SEH towards the water tower lights. There's another donation of $1,000 from SEH to design build for the water tower lights. There's another donation of $2,000 from WSB and Associates towards the water tower lights. And also there is a donation amount of $4,259.82 from Lauren Punsack Collision Repair. Lauren, we bought a used fire truck, and Lauren put all of his time into painting and spray on bed liner, all that he did for the city of Melrose.
He went above and beyond the call as far as making that truck look very, very presentable for the fire department.
And we have 3 gambling resolutions from the Church of St. Mary's. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Reports, Police Department monthly report, Chief Mouse.
Good evening. For December 2018 traffic area, we had 24 citations, 87 verbal warnings, 21 written warnings. I believe all but maybe one of those were for parking related issues, getting ready for the snowfalls and whatnot. December 2018, we had 340 calls or requests for service. 2017 was 302, so we were up by 38 calls last month over last year. And then we ended on ICR 5153, and last year was 3520, so we were up 1,633 calls or requests for service. 32 agency assists, pretty consistent for us in that area. And an area of note, our commercial nuisance was to go to court on Monday, and it was resolved roughly 9:30 that morning. So no action needed to be taken beyond that, but we did go all the way up to the 11th hour on that, of course. So good to see that it was resolved, but we just hope that it happens in a much sooner fashion if anything like that needs to happen in the future. So, any questions? Excellent.
All right, thank you, Chief. City Attorney report, Scott.
Sure. Since the last meeting, two items, both of which will be appearing later on your agenda. A new agreement to provide smart grid services was presented from our generating source for the utilities, MRES. So I did put some time in reviewing that and preparing resolutions for approval. Also, later on in the agenda, you'll see that there's a revision of the city subdivision ordinance. And I also put a little time in on that before it got finalized and sent to you folks. So both those items coming up later on. That's all I've got this evening, unless you've got some questions.
I think we're good. Thank you, Scott. Community Development Director report, Lisa.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet is a summary of the 2018 planning year in review, and it includes an itemization of the different applications that the city staff and the planning commission have reviewed during the past year. There were 42 applications that were submitted. 26 were approved. There were quite a few variances, preliminary plats, final plats, split rezonings, conditional use permits. Notably, there were 9 ordinance amendments approved. There's a comp plan amendment, easement vacation, annexation. So the ordinances approved this past year included the C2 ordinance amendment for Casey's, changing the size for convenience grocery stores. The C5, we added a downtown zoning district that allows first floor residential. The sign ordinance, we did a major amendment to. We added a new portable storage ordinance that's for the semi-truck kinds of trailers. We also modified the fence ordinance so that property owners can have fences within 3 feet of the property line, assuming that they get the proper agreement signed and recorded with the county. We added an annexation amendment that allows annexed property to be guided or zoned, to the appropriate zoning that it will be in the future, removing it from having to be first zone future development district. We had a C2 amendment and parking lot screening amendment, giving flexibility and changing requirements for outdoor sales types of uses. And then we also added a landscape ordinance, which added regulations, but also a fair degree of flexibility. So that's kind of a summary. There's more details in your packet if you choose to read more. Upcoming, we have the subdivision ordinance is on tonight's agenda, along with the comp plan amendment for the craft lot next door, just to sort of continue getting that re-guided and rezoned to the C5 zoning. And then also, there's a comp plan and zoning amendment related to that 8-plex and the vacant lot next to it that's right kind of near the hospital assisted living area. Just over time, it had been zoned. At some time, it got zoned to single family. I'm not sure exactly why, but it didn't seem appropriate, and so staff is just clarifying that. And we believe there may be a 4-plex going in next door once this gets approved. The Planning Commission at their last, at their January 28th meeting, so coming up, the Planning Commission has switched their schedule around, so they'll be meeting towards the end of the month instead of towards the beginning of the month. But they're having a second meeting in January because of the items that are slated to be reviewed by the City Council in February. That includes the Church of St. Mary's preliminary and final plat, Melrose one-stop preliminary and final plat, small cell wireless ordinance, and some discussion about possibly changing the changeable copy sign ordinance and discussion about outdoor seating and whether that should be allowed downtown. So there's additional info in your packet. One other thing to note, Jenny O did receive their full certificate of occupancy today. Are there any questions?
I'm good.
No, thank you.
All right. Action items, liquor license renewal application. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at all the license? Did they have any questions or concerns?
I'm making an assumption, Chief Mouse, that there weren't any issues with any of these businesses?
No, all were good.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. So then the second part was club and Sunday on sale liquor, and then number 3 was 3-2 off sale malt liquor license. If there's any concerns, can I get a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. B, business subsidy agreement, Jenny-O Turkey Store.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, this is one of the final actions we need to do for the Jenny-O Turkey project. Exciting news, first of all, today, the building official has provided the final certificate of occupancy for the Jenny-O Turkey project, so it is officially complete from the city's perspective, from the building side. What this is an amendment to the business subsidy agreement after we've completed all of the final costs relating to the distribution feeders. It was the belief as well as the understanding of Jenny-O Turkey as well as the Utility Commission after considerable discussions that the Utility Commissions would cover the final payment relating to the feeder costs. It's anticipated that the feeder costs will be able to be paid back much sooner than we originally projected back 2.5 years ago. So therefore, the Utility Commission would propose to fund the remaining portion of the feeder lines, Genio would still pay their fair share, as the numbers noted in the memo here. But we need to have formal council action to approve this amendment. Genio Turkey is in agreement with it as well. So pending your questions, staff's recommendation is to approve as presented.
Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, first and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And I just want to personally thank Genio Foods Hormel Corporation for their large investment into our community and keep our town thriving for another 50 years. So thank you again. Okay. C is ordinance number 117, 2019-1, an ordinance amending the City of Melrose ordinance number 1989-1-A as needed and adopted by the reference as Code 153 of the City of Melrose Code of Ordinance to rezone 2 lots from R1 single family to an R3 multifamily comprehensive plan amendment. Any questions? We got to do a 2-part motion on here.
I would encourage that you make the motion regarding the resolution for the comp plan first.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion for that resolution of the
Oh,
comprehensive.
sorry, I guess it's not a resolution, it's just a motion.
This motion.
Correct.
Yep. Can I get a second then?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the second one is adopting the ordinance. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. D, case number comp 12-2018-513 comprehensive plan amendment. And that is for the Riverview addition. Can I get a motion to approve that, the comprehensive plan amendment?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. First and second, any questions?
I just had one question. Let's move pretty quick. There was I can't remember if it was part of this one or something about street light for new developments. Any street lights that would be put in are at the developer's expense. Does that ring a bell?
For the subdivision ordinance, are you talking about, or for the
Maybe it's
craft
the
lot?
subdivision. Maybe it's the
I think it's probably
subdivision.
the subdivision.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, I was just curious. So the developer pays the expense of the initial light installation, and then the city would maintain that, right?
Yeah, the subdivision ordinance has just basically taken our existing city policy and put it into ordinance form. So it's not any
Okay.
change of policy, just literally putting it into ordinance.
Okay.
form.
All right. Thanks.
All right, and that's what we're voting on right now. Okay, we have first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then the second part, the council to give a consideration approving the official title and summary of the ordinance number 1-17-2019-2, ordinance title of summary. Can I get a motion to approve?
Excuse me, I think you just voted on the craft lot, and there is not a summary ordinance. for
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm jumping ahead, trying to move the meeting along. Okay. Ordinance number 2017-2019-2, an ordinance adopting land subdivision regulation and repealing land subdivision ordinance 1999-B and amending the official title and summary. Any questions? Okay. Can I get a motion to consider amending the ordinance?
I'll make a motion. It looks like it's just updating.
Yep. Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then the action item, considering approving the official title and summary of the ordinance. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then resolution number 2019-10, resolution concurring with the resolution of the Melrose Public Utilities approving smart grid technology services agreement between Missouri Basin Municipal Power Agency, DBA Missouri River Energy Services, and the City of Melrose. Is there any questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
One other question.
Okay, sorry.
I was just wondering if somebody wanted to explain what
Sure.
that means to the public. So-
Sure. Well, what this is the an MDM, meter data management. It's a new tool that the city is going to have available to all of its customers to do more detailed data analytics on their utility bill. It'll also prepare the city and its customers for time of use metering. Missouri River Energy Services, who is our wholesale power provider, which we have an agreement with for the next 45 years, I believe, to buy power from, has told us directly that time of use metering will become a reality within the next 5 years. And so we need to adopt this software package so we can do this time of use metering. And it's important because time of use metering will tell people that if you're using your washer and dryer, say at 3 in the afternoon, well, you should maybe do that washer and dryer work at 8 at night or 9 at night, whenever the power is there. So this MDM will allow us to do that. It'll also allow us a customer portal so the customers can actually action and review this. And so what this resolution is specifically doing is consenting to the Public Utilities action of adopting this, and also declaring that it is a public need for public safety, I think it was. It's kind of a weird ruling. However, we want to be conservative here and adopt a resolution saying that this software fills a public need, therefore we can share public data with them. They meet all ISO standards for safety and data collections, and we're one of 60 clients that MRES is sponsoring to do this. The other nice thing about this particular program and entering into an agreement with Missouri River Energy Services is that we are saving about $12,000 a year to do this with them versus on our own. So it's only about $11,000, well, I shouldn't say only, it's $11,000 a year to do this, but it would have cost us like $25,000 to do it alone. So this is a really good partnership with Missouri River.
And through the course of time, the customers should be able to figure out off-peak times when they're getting the most efficient use of electricity.
And that's not going to happen for about 5 years. However, we needed to do this because we were building a substation, and we were also doing some different changes in some of our large transformers and our large customers. So we're working through that right now.
Do we foresee this, because right now, a kilowatt hour for, say, residential customers, a kilowatt hour, any time of day, it's billed
Yep.
the same. Do we foresee this being, now you want to use that oven at noon when peak electricity usage is up, we're going to charge you more?
Yep, or less. It depends on
less.
where that's at. And that's
Right.
something that Missouri River as well as the city needs to develop yet.
Right.
And so we're still reviewing all the rate models and how to best do that. We have not formed a committee through Missouri River Energy Services yet, or worked with our finance to figure out how to properly manage that. So that's a little ways down the road, but we are prepared and ready for this when it does happen.
This is the precursor to
Yeah.
that type of.
This is the legwork to get that done. And we should be ready, operational, well, I was trying to get, I told the guys if it gets done by the first quarter, that we'll buy Roger a steak. Well, it's probably going to be second quarter now, realistically. So you'll buy me a steak.
Cheeseburger at Burger King then?
Well, no, it's a-
It gets to the second quarter?
So we're working hard to get it implemented, so.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for catching that, Tony.
No.
Okay. We're first and a second, right? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion carried. Police Department hire. Reserve hire.
Yes, so we are looking to get approval to hire Logan Walpole, who happens to be in the audience here tonight, for the Melrose Police Reserves. He is a senior at Melrose Area High School and will be attending Alexandria Technical College for law enforcement in the fall of 2019 here. We do enjoy getting local people onto our department, especially if they're the younger folks going through the law enforcement program, because it does give them that step up. When they graduate, start applying into jobs and that sort of thing. You're not just a person that went to school and is looking for a job. Well, you can put the effort into be with the department, learn what happens in that line of work before you get in the door with a law enforcement agency. So it is good to see that Logan has an interest. We're looking to get him on board, start molding his young mind into a great career, and see how the rest of the tech college does for him as well. So just looking for your approval contingent on a successful background and physical exam.
Chief Moss, I'm a little embarrassed to ask, but how many individuals are police reserves in Melrose at this
So we have
time?
dwindled to 0, so he will be starting our new round and new era of police reserve.
Senior police reserve.
So he will be the senior, like you said, the senior reserve officer starting as of whenever he's approved, so he's leading the pack right there.
All right. Any questions or concerns? Can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and hire that young man as a police reserve.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Welcome to the department. Enjoy your stay with us. Glad you're here. Pay equity report?
Good evening. So every 3 years, the city is required to do a pay equity study with the state of Minnesota. And this includes the data from the 2018 payroll information. So that information has been sent to you. Due to shifts in employments, we are now out of compliance, but we're hoping to meet with the ad hoc committee next week, Thursday, and then we'll bring a recommendation to the city council and working with the League of Minnesota to get that corrected. So we're looking just for approval of the 2019 pay equity report as is. That's due by January 31st to the state.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right, can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve the report.
Okay, first, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
If I could add one thing to that, one of the things that would most likely come out of the ad hoc committee meeting is a request for a special joint meeting with the Council and Utility Commission to address this, as well as to address other potential staffing changes. And so we're thinking the week of January 27th would be the week to do that. So we'll work with Patty to try to find a date that works for everybody for that week. So maybe Monday or even Thursday or whatever would work. So.
Okay. All right. Postage meter and folder insert a renewal agreement?
Yes, we have a 5-year lease on our postage machines, and that lease is coming due in May. The representative was actually just here today, so sorry for the late addition, but he's recommending a new 5-year lease. This is going through the state contract. And with it, they now have a why wait clause, they call it, so they would bring the new machinery within the next week or two, contingent upon approval. We continue to pay our regular lease price through May, and then the new price would kick in. So we'll get the machines at the cheaper price for a few months.
So either way, we're going to be paying the same amount, but we're going to get updated equipment that's hopefully more reliable.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, old business sidewalk engineering proposal.
So the city of Melrose is partnering with Jenny Turkey as well as a couple of other private entities to try to secure private funding to help offset the cost for a sidewalk leading up to Jenny Turkey. Staff made a good faith effort to try to do the bids and specs designs for this. However, when we got into the weeds of it and slopes and grades and retaining walls, we reached out to WSB to help us with the final mile on designing this design specs. It's proposed that WSB would actually do the design for us, finish up the design, I should say, get the bids ready for specifications, and then help us award the bids, and after that staff here would then conduct inspections. We would have limited inspections from like an ITT company to test the cement, but otherwise that's the type of inspections that we would have done. So therefore, it's staff's recommendation to enter into a contract with WSB so we can get moving on this sidewalk project.
Okay.
Mr. Brethurst, I noticed there was some notes and stuff about Americans with Disabilities Acts. Is this anything more than just a standard 4 or 5 foot wide sidewalk?
I'll let Mike touch on that if I could, please.
Well, I think it's proposed at 6 feet wide. It does meet all the ADA standards. The county actually installed the pedestrian ramps last year with their projects. So from a technical standpoint, that's the hardest part, is the pedestrian ramps, at each intersection with the truncated the domes to make sure that all those slopes are correct. Our big challenge now is just essentially to get a 1.5% cross slope on the sidewalk. And then there's a couple of areas, I think it was 910 and 914 Main Street, where we probably gonna have to go into their yard and replace their driveway all the way back to their garage, and then probably regrade their front yard again from the back of the sidewalk, pretty much up to the front of their house.
Because it's such
The
a,
driveways are very steep, and then to get that flat sidewalk through the, behind the curb there, we're gonna have to taper that back. So, we're gonna need temporary easements for that, so we'll have to meet with, those property owners and get those easements, acquired and signed up, so. But yeah, we do need to meet all the ADA.
now is that primarily on the north side of Maine, or does it,
South side.
it's all on the south side?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, get a motion to consider and enter into agreement with WSB to perform the work, please.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor and council, staff will, starting tomorrow, we'll start reaching out to the property owners to attempt to secure all those appropriate easements effective now. So,
Okay. 7B, Police Chief Mouse is requesting the approval to promote Officer Patrick Nickendicki to Sergeant. An application process occurred during, along with an interview process, with the interview board approving the hire. Officer Nickendicki would be on a 6-month probationary period if approved by the council. Officer Nickendicki would be on step 1 of the sergeant pay scale with a start date of January 21st, 2019. Is there any questions, or can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Melrose Lake Phase 1.
thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. At a special council meeting here earlier in January, we have decided to look at a phased approach for the Rock Arch Rapids and the bridge project. Staff has met a couple times to discuss options and what is feasible. We met with one of our partners of Stearns County, and we came up with a concept that we believe may warrant some further review by the various funding sources, as well as Stearns County again. What this is what this plan does. It is a modified concept to address the issues to the east of the Melrose Dam. It would allow for additional fish benches, which is basically a wadi of water that would be possible for fish, some type of canoe landing within the Sauk River Park, as well as stream bank stabilization and restoration and channel restoration from the dam all the way to the east side of the Melrose wastewater plant. We do not have cost estimates at this time. We just wanted to get a concept in front of you this evening to make sure that this was comfortable of what you think may be worthwhile. Luke Lundy, who's a specialist within WSB, specializing in environmental restoration efforts, as well as Mike Nielsen, Greg Berg from Stearns County, all feel that this is a concept worth exploring. And so what we would do here is that the way this would be done is that we would actually be moving the channel like we talked about originally from the original dam. This now does impact the final design of the bridge if we do this. And this gives basically WSB its marching orders to move forward. Now, the way this is drawn and the way this is written is that we would be able to do a phase 2, which may include but not limited to a Rock Arch Rapids, sustaining the lake levels at its way it currently is. Another option is to do a modified Rock Arch Rapids with a pool drawdown or a 1-for-1 replacement of the dam. However, we've been told that the 1-for-1 replacement of the dam will not be permitted by the DNR. However, this concept of phase 1 would allow for those options to be explored at a further date in the future. So this doesn't pin you down into one particular thing. It just pins you down into some type of phased approach to address the dam once and if it needs to be replaced. So we're ready for the future. when that happens.
And for the folks, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Breathorst, but for the folks that aren't looking at pretty pictures like we are right now, Phase 1 is primarily going to be that retaining wall on the south side of the dam property, and that's going to be sloped and shaved down to the east, correct?
Our best guess for timetables for the bridge project is fall of 2020. We've asked WSB to put together a final plan and scope and design package for the council to consider in hopefully February here. And so then they can get moving on the final design for the bridge and then get this moving forward. And then what we would also have to do is if the council approves this concept tonight, we would then work with the Stearns County to determine if they feel that this is a solid plan. And then we would work with WSB to come up with some true cost estimates and then modify or adjust our applications for one or both and move on from there.
Does this in any way affect the viability of the old craft plant lot as far as making it a better site for, say, construction of some sort of a major building?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, yeah, that's a great question. It actually enhances that property. It would move the shoreline a little bit away from the existing, actually provide more buildable area. One of the layouts that we had seen from a potential developer, was a little bit tight on that shoreline area. We were looking to perhaps get a kind of a boardwalk, sidewalk along the shore area. This would allow, I think, that to move forward if they stick with their current plan, or if somebody comes in with a plan that we can certainly adjust to keep it to that similar footprint. So yeah, it does improve the craft lot viability.
And Mr. Mayor and council members, we'll take this, if you approve this concept tonight, we'll take this and we'll put this onto our website to make sure that people have access to it tomorrow.
Okay.
I just realized that I don't know if I see the actual bridge represented in this. Does that?
Yes, it is technically. You see the four lines here
On the second page.
on the second page. If you right here, these four lines represent the bridge. So it doesn't get the full concept of the bridge on there, but that's what that's representing.
The 4 lines?
Yeah.
That is way outside the channel. Is it not?
Yeah, because of the grading of the slope of the.
Yeah, those are grading lines, I'm assuming. Yeah, the actual bridge, is that the 2 lines in the middle here?
Here.
Because
Well, that's-
what I'm afraid is gonna happen again is we're gonna get stuck thinking about the Rock Arch Rapids type concept, and we're gonna fall behind on what we wanna do with the bridge again. But I know we're trying to kinda kill 2 birds with 1 stone here, but, so if, would this be quasi the bridge right here, or?
Yeah, it would be on this slope here, and it was really the same bridge that we kind of limits that we had left off with our, before we ever got into the Rock Arch Rapids.
Okay.
So
I know
yeah,
one of the,
Isn't
you know,
that's what this is.
one of the desires was for the First Street to become a lot.
shifted, yeah.
This will
And
still
I don't
allow-
remember the exact number, but we're shifting the bridge north. It was 60 or 100 feet or
Right.
whatever it was.
So that will allow the First Street to become,
When you take a look at this,
A better-
the grading, when you see the grading slopes here, that also reflects that would require the bridge. And I thought that's what these lines were representing. But
right,
This is the actual grading of it, so you would have to shift
These
it
main
north.
slopes are going
and unless the abutments come out a
Either
little
this way,
further.
that's where it shows.
Yeah,
that it's
and
bridges.
again, there's a little bit of work to do on this
Right.
bridge concept plan, but yeah, our bridge location, separation from the intersection at First Street is as it was.
Okay, in the
back
previous
2 years or whatever.
channel realignment proposals,
Yes.
okay,
Two proposals.
yeah. The other question I'm wondering about is, if we go, is this only being proposed as a bridge planning tool? Or are we planning on doing all this stuff in the river also, as part of this project? Because where I'm going with that is this looks very expensive in the river.
It certainly would be dependent on funding from either the LCCMR or the Sam's Lessard, yes.
Right.
I mean, if we get no funding, then it would be back to the basic
Bridge.
bridge
Yeah.
and
Just standard
more of the
channel
basic
restoration.
channel armament than
Okay.
the natural,
All right,
unless the council certainly decided that they wanted some of that included, so.
okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
Okay.
Yep, we're good.
So this is the preliminary, this first step of looking into the feasibility and probably more so securing funds
Right.
for phase one and into phase two.
And to establish some type of guidance and partnerships with our Stearns County or Sauk River. So this is the concept that we would bring to them, saying, hey, this is our concept, we think makes sense, let's see if this is a good partnership for both organizations.
And for right now, it benefits that lot, and then it also, correct me if I'm wrong, also benefits the placement of the uprights, the caissons for the bridge, the new bridge, correct?
Correct, and it would also benefit the properties on the south side of the river to the east of the bridge also. That would give them some additional fill material behind their buildings and some probably safety concerns that the river is not going to encroach on their buildings any more than it already has, so.
Well, and I think from the funding perspective, the funding source of the Lessard Sams or LCCMR is that this positions us well for a phased approach to address the river ecology upstream, so.
All right.
All right. So consideration to approve the concept and direct and continued discussion with the stakeholders and all the possible modifications of funding sources. Can I get a motion to approve that?
I'd make a motion.
Okay, going to first, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, new business, GIS.
Yeah, the city has been partnering with the Melrose Utilities Commission to develop a GIS system so we can modernize, access data sets, and kind of work autonomously. We have a solid partnership with WSB Engineering to host our data. However, we are to the point now where we need to start inputting data into the system, such as where manholes are at, and do an assessment of those manholes, or do assessments on the power poles and the transformers and numbering them, and so on. And so we would like to partner with the Utility Commission. The total cost for this, to include the GIS software, the initial training, the hardware to do all this, is $14,800. However, we would split this amongst the water, wastewater, general or storm sewer, as well as the electric. And we're proposing that 17% of this would be dedicated towards the general/storm sewer for a total of $2,000 for that partnership. We anticipate it'll take right around 3 years to get everything into the system. Then after that, it should just be routine maintenance after that. But we think it's a solid plan. We have potential interns coming here this summer. Our electric department would actually start this winter now, probably in March timeframe, to actually start doing some of their plugging.
Would our staff enter that information on this?
Yeah, we would do all the data entry ourselves. WSB would partner with us to make sure that it's designed, it uploads to the system properly. We'd be able to take photos with it, put photos attached to the GIS, and get pretty creative on how we can use that data.
So we're using global positioning to pinpoint exactly
Yep.
where each item is.
And that's why we're recommending to get, I forget the name of the hardware, it's the Aero 2000 or some 200, a GIS EOS Aero 200 GPS receiver. I think it's within 3 inches the system gets you to. There is another step up, but we didn't feel that $12,000 was justifiable for finding a manhole. So we could probably find it within 3 inches.
All right, any other conversation? Can I
Nice
get a,
for data accessible, accessing data and
yep,
keeping it in-house, whatever. So
can I get a motion to approve, please?
move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Then there's a resolution number 2019-11, resolution supporting local government's right to explore the use of ranked choice voting for local elections.
Yeah, what this is maybe not a specific good fit for Melrose to do ranked choice voting. However, it's a tool that would allow cities throughout the state, if they felt it was appropriate for them to do ranked choice voting, that they would have the legal right to do that. Right now, if a city wants to do ranked choice voting, it's a requirement that they have to go before the state legislature to get approval to do that. So Minneapolis has done it. There's a couple other larger cities. St. Louis Park, I think, has done it. St. Paul has done it as well. It makes sense when you have like 45 people running for council. Melrose, we don't have that problem, which would be a good problem, but and what ranked choice voting is you get to go into the ballot, you get to choose 3 top candidates, and then from there, it's whoever gets 50% of those top 3 votes. So you go through the first round. If you don't get 50%, well, you go to the next person. You go to the next person until you get your top person for ranked choice voting. So what this resolution is doing is just saying that the city of Melrose encourages local control and local support. And the League of Minnesota Cities has also endorsed this, as per the information we received from Fair Vote Minnesota, who approached Patty and I about this. And we feel that there's really no harm in endorsing this particular policy. And we would just be adding our name to the list of cities that endorse the choice of a city to be able to do this if they feel it's appropriate for them.
And it only pertained to local election.
Yes, yeah. That's the way this is written for us.
Yep.
So it's up to you. This is something that the only reason we're really putting this on here is because we did have a local tie to one of the employees of Fair Vote Minnesota. Actually, her name is Kelly O'Brien, the daughter of our former mayor, George O'Brien. So that's why we're bringing it for you today to consider. And it's also a worthwhile conversation.
So if we look into this, we're not bound by it, but at least we're kind of on the register, we have the option.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just saying that you would support the resolution if the state to take
Yeah,
action.
this is actually just lobbying the legislature to enable local governments to
Yes.
implement ranked choice voting if they want to.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually change anything. It's more or less just throwing our support behind the ability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'm a fan of it or not. I haven't done enough research on how it affects, because I did see that it gets rid of the primary and it consolidates them into just a single election.
It does.
The only thought in my mind goes, well, let's say you change your mind between, you do some more research, because people typically do more research closer to the general election than the primary election on who the candidates are and stuff. But local elections, everybody, at least in Melrose, probably knows who they're going to pick anyway, so it probably doesn't hurt anything.
Well, and the way I'm looking at it is I think after 4 years at Bunker Hill, there's probably going to be all kinds of people who want to get him out of office and be running, so it might be useful.
Maybe.
All right. So, anybody else have any comments? Okay.
It doesn't hurt anything, I suppose, to enable the option, I suppose, or to support enabling the
All
option.
right. Are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. C, LED library lights.
Yeah, Jan from the library approached city staff to add some additional soft reading lights in the library. There's a couple of darker spots that they've been having since the building's been built. And so she's proposing to add a few can lights to that. The city does have a modest budget, $500 a year, to do miscellaneous capital improvements to the budget, to their library. They have about $800 in their fund right now to do that. However, this particular LED light upgrade will cost about $950. And so, since it's over their budget, I wanted to come to the council to get your approval to move forward with something like this. There is energy savings with this. Lights in there are on. Some of the lights, the can lights that we have in there, these are just the can lights now. We're not doing anything with the fluorescents. That's a bigger project that we're going to explore for a larger capital project in 2022, 2023, something like that. But for now, these are straight up LEDs. We worked with Dan Roaring from Freeport Electric to come up with a reasonable cost, and so therefore it's consideration to add the additional lights and basically advance them $150.
Okay.
Those can lights that are in there now the same as what's out here in the,
Yes.
so they're not,
So
you
what?
can't take bulbs out.
Yeah, we got 2 prong lights right now. It's actually a prong that you put in. And so the Utility Commission has agreed to replace these can lights as well, under their routine maintenance budget that they have. So we're gonna replace just the can lights in the narthex here. And
Would city staff do that, or would Mr. Waring possibly
Yeah.
do that also?
yeah. City staff can only do stuff behind the meter. We can't do anything in front of the meter.
Okay, so Mr. Waring's coming into the building either way.
Yep. Yep. So, and it's a cost savings to do that all at the same time. We're standardizing the lights. We
What
got-
kind of lights are they gonna put something in that we can change a bulb in?
Yes, it's a screw-in light bulb that'll be in there. A screw-in LED light bulb. I think it's a 14-watt light bulb, and it's currently at 28 watts, does that sound right, Tess? I think that's what it was. It'll be a standard white light. These lights here are on 24/7, so there will be an actual energy savings. Not just one of those on for 4 hours and you get 20 years until you repay.
I just want something that we can change, I mean, now we can't change the bulbs on them, so it's, make it so we can actually do some
got it.
work, not just like that.
625.
Okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve then?
I'll make a motion to approve that $150 for improved lighting in the library.
I'll second.
Okay. First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. German student visit.
Patty, you want to touch on that just?
I just reached out to Stefan. The German students will be here February 28th, and he is proposing that the council then do host the German students on Monday, March 4th at around 6 o'clock, if that works. I mean, I think we've done that in the past, so just wanted to make sure, work with your schedule before I reach back out to.
Patty, it was suggested that we bump the meeting up to 5:30
Oh, was it?
because of the fire department training that goes on at 7.
6:30.
6:30?
6:30? I mean, if we think it's gonna be, be out of here by 6:30, then 6 is fine, whatever.
No, I mean, that might be a
Yeah.
little tight.
Should look at my
The
calendar.
students always like some time
Should
waiting, and
work.
then the teachers give a presentation. I forgot about them.
Yeah.
Yep. I
So,
could see if 5:30 would work.
okay.
Should work.
And if it has to be, I'll show up late for 5 minutes if I have to, so, whatever.
But Monday, that Monday works then, otherwise we can do 5:30
You guys okay with that?
Should work.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
I don't need a motion, I just need it because you just, it's perfect, thank you.
All right. Then information items, schools and conferences, Public Utility Commission meeting minutes. And then we did receive a letter from Alfred and Faye Bushman, letter of thanks. It says, the Melrose Electric Power Crew responded to an outage at the above address on the 2nd of January 2019, a cold winter night. As a career military retiree, we experienced similar needs in our cities. The Melrose crew by far exceeded services elsewhere. We are grateful to know such an effective crew is available. We thank you. So thank you for the letter from the Bushmans, and we'll pass it on to our electric crew. And then, that's it. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So
Can I get a second? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.